Welcome back. How we doing? Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to the Funker News Network. I am Ronnie, and I will be your host again. Well, welcome back. How are we? We've got quite a bit to go over. We're going to be talking about Russian warships really not needing to themselves. We're going to talk a little bit about Mariupol. We're going to talk about the fight in the east. We're actually going to do Funker Fact Check tonight. For those of you that don't know, when we find something that is, blatantly false, we do our best. But we'll talk about that when it's time to get to it. And we're gonna cover a little bit about Cossack for those that haven't been able to follow. But we'll get there. How's everybody doing? This is really bright in my face. Let's take that off. Oh, there we go. Hello. Made it from the beginning. Welcome in, Richard. Welcome in. If you wouldn't mind slapping the like button right on its hind parts, nice and stiff like, I'd appreciate it. All that YouTube shill. The first thing we got to get to, and I can't go to the big camera here because I'm actually setting up for some other stuff I'm doing. I'll show you guys here in a minute. I can't go to this camera because I'm using it for other stuff today. But I got to talk about our sponsor for tonight, our partner, AR500. If you guys check that pinned link up above, you go pick yourself up some rifle-rated armor, and when you buy one with that package, they send one to Ukraine. All right, we thought that was pretty dope, so you guys can go check that out. They've also got a huge sale on a separate Veritas plate carrier bundle. I actually do have one of their plate carriers. I have the Testudo. I think it's great. I've spent a lot of time putting rounds into their steel armor with the frag lock, the rhino lining kind of stuff. It works. It does. There's a lot of proponents against steel armor, for steel armor. But they also sell other armor types, not just steel. Go check it out. There's pretty good stuff over there. Welcome back. Cheers from Brazil. Wow, you guys chime in from just about everywhere, don't you? How are we doing? We had some members come by while we were away, and I want to check in on those really quick if I can figure out how to get my mouse to scroll. There we go. Class Chase, thanks for becoming a member. Toby, Scott, Muharrem, Michael, Francesco, Austin, thank you all for becoming members. Welcome to the Funkers. Get in the Discord, connect your Discord and your YouTube. That's going to give you access to your merch discount code. I have no other way to give that to you guys without just putting it on blast. All right. So make sure you get into the Discord, engage with the community in there. They're still discussing quite a bit, not just Ukraine, but also some of those other conflict areas that you're used to hearing about, like Syria, Africa, Iraq, and Afghanistan still. Thanks for videos from Indiana. Where's everybody chiming in from? I'd actually love to just take a moment, step back for a second, and just check in on where you guys are all from here. Boston, Mass. I've got family in Boston. My sperm donor, he's from like Quincy, Plymouth area. I don't know if they're very close. I've actually, really never been there. Tennessee, Brooklyn. Wow. NOLA, San Diego. I don't know if you're aware of this, but it stands for a whale. Never mind. Portugal. Okay. Illinois, Hartford, Connecticut. Welcome in, everybody. You might notice that the live shows have moved to a subscriber only. You only have to be a subscriber to our channel, which is free, for a minute, right? And the reason we did that is to help control actual bots. Now, when I say bots, I mean in the most specific term bot, right? I'm not talking about somebody that has a dissenting or differing opinion, because those are welcome here. You might not agree with me, I might not agree with you, but that's the freedom that we enjoy, right? Let's jump into the footage here. The very first thing I want to look at is going to be some Ukrainian soft footage coming out of Donetsk, and this one was posted by Mr. Will Kilmore, Willie Pete, and that's coming up for you guys right now. Robots, playoffs. Just let the hamster spin in there so I can get all loaded up for you. And it's coming up for you guys right now. Now, this is an official release. Take that for what it's worth. Coming up, full screen. Okay, so now that we've watched it, I'm going to kind of redesign how we're doing this. Now that we watched it, I'll give you a little bit of information about it. Ukrainian SOF essentially engage, and this is supposedly there's a reason we started with this. This is supposedly a TB2 Bayraktar with a special module for the camera, right? They engage and destroy two logistics trucks. Basically, they look like deuce and a halves. I don't know what model of trucks they are. I don't know, but they do look like deuce and a halves to me. I remember riding the back of those bad boys, bouncing your head all over the place, trying to see who could stand up for the longest and getting yelled at. Next thing we're going to look at is the 92nd Mechanized Brigade out of Ukraine retrofitting a drone with, and we've seen this before. I actually did an edited Funker News Network episode on it that we got in a lot of trouble for that one because I'm pretty sure the guy gets like the cap anyway. But I did do an edited video on Ukraine's usage of these commercial drones and retrofitting them, sorry to draw this comparison, but not unlike we saw coming out of Syria. We're going to watch this engage a T-72 successfully, all right? Successfully. Oops, wrong button. And that's coming up for you guys right now. Zelensky is your god. I like to pray in to Basil Hayden's personally. That's my go-to there. Here you go, full screen. Now, let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about this one for a second. So what you're looking at here is two improvised type munitions. They could be like RPG, rockets, some rocket-propelled grenades that are being dropped. It's impossible to know what's being dropped here, but I want to show you guys something. Something that can lead us to better understand the situation of, maybe the crew inside, if there was one. But as the first one misses, hits just behind. As the second one hits, I want you to pay close attention to the barrel up here at the top. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see what I'm doing. What an idiot. Watch the barrel as the second munition hits. All that excess pressure comes out of the barrel there, right? That's probably what kept the lid from popping on it. I mean, it still did, but it didn't come off the way we've seen that happen before. The top of the tank is typically where there's the least amount of protection. That's a lot of the reasons why we saw the cope cages, right? We saw all sorts of stuff. We saw rugs used for a different purpose, more camouflage, concealment rather. But all that excess pressure ended up making its way out the barrel, and tank's gone. Most brutal war to date? Not necessarily, right? Let's talk about that for a second. This is the most televised war to date, and the first war to date that we're really watching in real time, I think, right? I can't remember another conflict where we could say things like, I watched a firefight at a nuclear facility live on the internet. When's the last time you could... When have we ever been able to say that? War is brutal. It is. The battleship. We're going to talk about the battleship here in a little bit. about the Warship. The Warship. It's technically a cruiser, if I'm not mistaken. Cruiser. Let's jump into the next one. Remember, Thursdays are a shorter show for us because immediately following here, I head over to my channel where I kick back, play some games, try to separate from the world a little bit, where we're also supporting veteran charity. We're going to be playing with a good friend of mine tonight. We'll be talking about Cossack 2. Yeah, we'll be talking about that. The next thing, this one's actually this is some wild footage that we're starting to see. This one comes to us out of Mariupol. All right, now this is another instance. I'm going to show you the footage first, and then we're going to talk about it after. Okay. And that's coming up for you guys right now. On you. There we go. Full screen.
Все хорошо, это я. Барс, я по ней отработал, хуй знает, попал, не попал. У меня полетело.
Okay. Let's talk about what we're looking at here. So this is footage reportedly of a Ukrainian soldier in Mariupol firing a grenade at a Russian soldier of some kind, you know, maybe an officer, yelling in the background. And if you guys can't hear it, immediately prior to the shot, we can hear somebody yelling somewhere out in the distance there. The most brutal wars were before any gun use. Brutal is subjective, to be honest with you. It is. Right? You know, brutal to us might be different than, you know, what brutal then was, or what brutal of tomorrow will be. You know, that's that moral compass that's always regularly shifting. You know, if I had to give that 2 cents. Overpressure? All wars are brutal. Sure. So I'll give you guys a link to that one. You're welcome to go watch that. See if you can hear that Russian soldier in the background. Matt, thanks for hitting that support button. Welcome to the Funkers, man. We got some Javelin footage. Supposedly and reportedly targeting a BM-21 Grad launcher of Russia's. Now, both Russia and Ukraine use the Grad. Russia got a lot of, you know, and rightly so, flack for using that, because essentially they were just sending Grad rockets into residential areas. There is also footage that we have of Ukrainians using the Grad specifically to target a single vehicle, but the Grad itself is kind of an antiquated piece of equipment that is really, you know, an area of effect kind of weapon. But we're going to watch a Javelin strike on the Grad. And once again, not my music. So obviously we can't see what's on the receiving end of this. It was only reported as a BM-21 Grad strike, or excuse me, a BM-21 Grad being hit by the Javelin. Take it for what it's worth, right? Is that an M24 behind you? No, that is a Remington 700 SPS Tactical. Close. I love that techno. It's not my music, but I like it. And it's not the last time we're gonna hear some banger music. All right, I've got a couple of videos here that are just, you know, an absolute bop. Now the next video I want to show you guys. Early on in the Russian invasion of Ukraine, there was a lot of talk about one of those tip of the spear type units, right? Now I'm talking about the elite special operators that are really driving Ukraine's defense right now, right? The pointiest of the pointy. We're talking about the users of chains, okay? The towers of armor. And the taker of Russian shit. We hadn't seen some footage from the 1st Farmers Brigade in a long time, but we finally got some more, and we finally get to meet some of our farmers up close and personal. And it's coming up for you guys right now. There we go.
Ёбаный сепарский танк. Угнали нахуй. С Маковеем. Ебать. Смехом, а он заряженный до зубов. Ну да. На ходу полностью боевой комплект, все нахуй.
Oh, man.
Полностью боевой. Тупо танк нахуй.
Bait tractor.
Полетели.
Is that a cat? Hold on. Let me look. Is that a cat? I can't tell. Anyway, there's your elite, the elite 1st Farmers Brigade. Continuing to win the war.
Угнали нахуй.
Welcome in, everybody. This guy just got done with a bowl right before he grabbed this tractor. He's like, Ivan, I have idea. Okay. Let me check in on some of the support that's coming in, guys, and thank you so much for it. I appreciate it. We all do. I am just one small part of the Funker team. Very small. They like to remind me of that. And we appreciate you guys being here, engaging with us, checking in on the website, downloading the app. Thank you so much. Leo, thank you for the $1.99, man. YOLO Killer 75, thanks for the 10.98. Love your vids and glory to the heroes of Ukraine. Thanks for that. The world as I know it, thanks for becoming a member. Shadow, thanks for becoming a member. Cody, thank you. Yannick, thanks for the $1.60. Ship sunk but no words on casualties. Can be high, up to 510 or so. Yep. There's a dot on my shirt. Matt, thanks again for becoming a member. Ungato, thank you for the $5. What if Ostankino Tower had a blackout? Manufacturing concept Moscow 24 TV. Not sure, man. But thank you very much for the $5. Let's jump into a little bit more footage. I'm gonna check in on the chat here. That's worth some bounty. Well, I mean, the best part is they don't have to pay any taxes on stealing that equipment. That's awesome. Come to Ukraine, armor harvest. Tow away your own. Oh goodness. Any word on getting more bolts to the first farm? I mean, look at, you know, this is like a guy that you just kind of want to kick back on the couch with and watch funny movies, you know. I want to meet that guy. Russia lost its Superstar Destroyer. Yeah, they did, and we're gonna actually be talking about the Russia Warship here in just a little bit. Did the cruiser actually sink, or is it just damaged? Russia has confirmed that it sank, and they said that it sank because of the seas while it was being towed. Well, it was being towed because it was hit by 2 Neptune missiles. So there you go. Is that your younger brother? Jim? Shut up, man. Another warship to submarine upgrade. So last night on the other stream, somebody, I died laughing because somebody said the Russian warship is now conducting a special submersible operation, and I almost pissed myself. That's funny. That's funny. Not to make light of very likely a really mass Kaz event, but that's funny. Dirty Dan, thanks for the $4.99. Just got done with PT. What happened? I showered with socks on immediately before the stream today. That's the top news thus far. Second thing that happened is I did not wear pants to the stream today. I wore normal length shorts for a man. Third thing, the Russian warship has sunk officially. Let's jump in a little bit more footage. Make sure you've slapped the like button right on the please and thank you. I got to mute myself because I have a potty mouth. But then at the next stream, I let it all out. You know, it just comes out, and the wife yells at me later. Let's check in on some Funker Fact Check. All right. Now, when we have the opportunity to, remember, we've been covering, our team has been covering combat footage for the better part of a decade, right? So we have oftentimes seen a lot of the footage that's out there. We have our reasons for posting certain things versus others. You know, especially we prioritize those things that we can provide some form of context. Now, there's a video that was floating around of an ATGM strike that was reportedly from Mariupol. Well, that's absolutely false. That's absolutely false. I'm going to show you some footage, and then I'm going to give you the actual background on that footage. It's going to come up for you right now. Wrong button. I keep hitting the wrong button. It's not like I haven't been sitting here for the last 3 years doing the same thing. It's actually 4 years. I've been doing live content now for 4 years this April. It's weird. And here we go. I'll let you watch this, and then I'll give you the background on it. There is no sound on this one. Hell of a shot, though, isn't it? Watch this shot. Watch this shot. Right to left, moving target. Let's look at the weapon system there. That's a toe. Yeah, hopefully they both win and nobody got hurt. They did not survive. Jeff Fraser, thanks for the $20, man. 2 steady. Thanks for the 420. Dabbed for you. Thanks, man. Dan, thank you for the $5. I can't read your name. It's in like Ukrainian or Russian, but thanks for becoming a member. Appreciate that. All right, let's talk about this. And I'm going to show you how you can go and find out for yourself what happened. Josh did this write up, and he provided some really great context about this footage specifically. And this footage was recorded in 2017. And this is a BGM-71 TOW being used in Syria. Now, the original footage had this top portion cropped out, and they had put Ukrainian music over top of it, right? This is the website. If you haven't seen the website, the app looks very similar. You know, essentially I could shrink this down and it would show you exactly what the website was. Fake as hell. No, the footage isn't fake, man. it's real footage. What's fake is the simple fact that it was not from Mariupol, right? Now, we do this when we can, right? We try to just, we have eyes on a lot of this footage, and we've seen a lot of it coming from its original sources a lot of times, right? These guys, our writing team is out scouring some really weird, they find some weird stuff, man. they find some weird stuff. My inbox, you know, it's not stuff that I open up a lot. They saw it coming though. You can see him hit the gas. He tried. You know, so the deal with the TOW is that's a Seklos, you know, anti-tank guided missile, semi-automatic command line of sight. It's got a general effective range of around 3,500 meters. There are various versions of it, right? In this instance, probably command wire controlled. It allows you to control the munition in air while it's on its way to its target. Do you guys have footage of that Moskva ship? No, we do not. I have yet to see footage of it. The closest thing I've seen was the last picture that was taken of it, but it was a satellite photo. It doesn't really show anything. Stugna? No, that was a TOW. The Stugna is one that has been very relevant to talk about in Ukraine because that is a Ukrainian developed and deployed anti-tank guided missile. Anyone else have no sound? If you're using the app, restart the app. That's a known bug with the app. Raspers, welcome in. All right, let's move on to the next bit of footage. We're going to look at some Russian released footage. It's coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense, and it's going to show a Ka-52 Alligator not only dodging a Buck anti-air weapon system, but supposedly then destroying that anti-air weapon system. It's some pretty wild footage. It is final edited. Definitely would be labeled in the propaganda category, if you will. And you'll see what I mean when we watch it here. It's coming up for you guys right now. Full screen.
Сирота 637-го. Вот ракета.
Крен велик. Крен.
Туда насыпай нарами, видишь, откуда взлетела, видел ли? Раз, еще. Туда же. 637, слева пуск, иду туда.
Крен велик. Крен.
Вижу, мы туда отработали. Туда же работайте, пацаны. Давай.
Перегруз.
Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about this for a second, okay? So some weird stuff going on here. Initially, we are introduced to the Hind, the Mi-24, right? Note that it doesn't have the dual propeller system. And that goes on for a little bit, right? You got two of them there. Weird. And then we've got, you know, all that footage we just watched. And then suddenly at the end, we've got two Ka-52 Alligators. Was it an Mi-35? Are you pro-Russian? No. That impact was not from those rockets he fired. Yeah, so again, you know, our mission and focus is just to show you guys this footage, right? Now, I'll identify a few things from my own brain and from our writing team, but it's really just about showing you the footage that we're finding out in the wild. We don't consider ourselves to be Russian experts, Ukrainian experts, or experts in any one specific conflict, right? Mariupol has been encircled, or is my news wrong? Your news isn't necessarily wrong. Mariupol has been encircled for some time now. I need to check back in on some of this, some of these super chats and support. Double back again. Thanks for the $5. Snake Island Curse finally came back to... Well, that's a talking point that I have here in just a couple minutes. Just a couple minutes. I'm going to save that one. BMW Enthusiast, thanks for the $5 super chat. Hey, man, I love the streams. You should check out a guy called the Enforcer here on YouTube. He streams almost every night about the Ukraine war. That's dope. Okay. We'll give him a look at some point. Dirty Dan, thanks for the $4.99. Thanks again for that one. S. Moore, thanks for the $10. Puget Sound, Gilnet Fishers, Putin needs to be Swanky Dog, thanks for the $1.99. Girlfriend Lisa says, good coverage. Tell your girlfriend Lisa I said hi, but more importantly, hi, Swanky Dog. I love your name. Russians are the masters of blue falconing. All right, let's jump into our next piece of footage here. We got two more pieces of footage, and then we're going to jump into some topics from the Russian invasion that I've got that I want to talk about. That those include Cossack Gundy. They include our warship and a few other items about, on a campaign map. And we'll get there right after the rest of this footage. Operator Starsky, Track and Operator Starsky. We actually post all of his stuff to the website. Now, something that's key, pertinent, and important for everybody to understand. When we post another YouTuber's stuff on our website, I'll give you an example here. Let me find an example. Here we go. Right here. I'm gonna pull up the main page of the website for you guys, and it's the same way in the app. When we post another YouTuber's stuff here on the website, we use the YouTube embed. Okay, we use the YouTube embed. So anytime you watch another YouTuber stuff, that includes guys like Grand Thumb, Angry Cops, Donut, every view, everything goes back to them because it is the official YouTube player. Okay, every view, everything goes back to them. All right, we answer that question quite a bit in the comments, and I wanted to make sure that I covered it here as well. Nice shirt, nice face. I can't see it, but I can only presume. Next footage. Next footage is, Ukrainian strategy to combat air power from Russia, taking a page fresh out of the Farmer's book. It's likely that the 1st Farmers Brigade gave them this idea, and it's coming up for you guys here right now. My hair's a little crazy, but I didn't feel like wearing the hat.
Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Oh no.
Ми з України.
I always want the music to continue. Damn. Now, so we've shown you lots of we've talked about a little bit of on ground footage, some helmet cam type stuff, and we also showed you some Ministry of Defense propaganda. But it's time to show you the flip side of that coin, right? That K-52/Hind propaganda footage. Let's look at some Ukrainian propaganda. Okay, propaganda isn't a bad term, right? I've got propaganda for my stream. I do. I've got highlight reels, all kinds of stuff. It's a term to describe, a piece of footage or an observable that has a desired effect or an intent. And in most of Russia's propaganda, the desired effect is either, Nazifying Ukraine, showing that Ukraine are, Nazis or of lesser people than the rest of the world believes them to be. Ukraine's side is to show something like a David versus Goliath, like we are small but we are mighty. That's what the themes to me are in a lot of Ukrainian propaganda. But this one's dope. This one's banger. You're gonna love it. And it's also going to help you understand why I keep saying that Ukraine is winning the propaganda war. This is an official release by Ukraine. Did one of you just say limp borscht? I drooled on myself. Hold on. We'll be right back.
Hey, outlaw 6, outlaw 4.
Dad, push me harder.
Outlaw 6, outlaw 2. Any station listen up, 2 hours.
All right, and we're back. So we're serious now. Limp borscht. That got me. That got, you know, every once in a while something just hits, and that one slapped. That one slapped. It's Ivan Dur. Stop. Thanks again for being here, guys. You're gonna make me have to end the stream. All right, let's talk. We've got a couple highlights that I want to cover here. What's up, BLem? How are you? A couple highlights I want to talk about here. So I'm gonna show you guys a photo, right? So we talked the other day about an individual named Cossack Gundy, and we talked about how he has been stationed in Mariupol, and essentially his unit had run out of supplies and ammunition, and they were gonna have to surrender. I didn't save the image. Well, we have an image of Mr. Gundy. He has been captured. Now, here's the key element that I really wanted to talk about, though. The key piece to this is there's a lot of misinformation that's going around that talks about Mr. Gundy as though he is a foreign fighter of some kind. So he has been captured, surrendered, captured. Cossack is an actual Ukrainian Marine. He is British born. He also fought with the Peshmerga in Syria. But he is a Ukrainian Marine and has been for 5 years now. So he is an official prisoner of war at this point. Now, there's other footage. There's other footage that's going around of and it's just a very small 10-second snippet of him being interviewed. This is a cut on his head. During that interview, he did not have this bruising around his face. His mother has confirmed that this is him based on tattoos. You can see the handcuffs that are on him. But it's important. It's important for everybody to note that he is officially Ukrainian. He is part of the Ukrainian military, but he is British born. I heard Russia has Mariupol surrounded. We'll be talking about Mariupol here in just a minute. I'll be showing you guys a map of, generally speaking, where Russian forces versus the remaining pockets of Ukrainian resistance. So this is kind of the latest photo that I have seen. There might be more that's floating around out there. But I see a lot of questions that come up in, the Twitter feeds, on the Reddit posts, well, it's his mistake. He went there to fight. No, he lived there. Right? So now he is a prisoner of war. That is a function and happens in war. And hopefully he is treated as though he is a prisoner of war. They're definitely beating. Yes, they are. Yes, I mean that's apparent at this point, right? See? That's apparent. Is he Azov? No. No, he is a Ukrainian Marine. He is not Azov. More like surrounded for 40 days, yes. Yeah. It's been surrounded for weeks, correct. Correct. War crime? I based on the way a lot of the rest of the war has gone so far, I think this would be on the lower end scale of war crimes. You know, start looking at Bucha. Gregory, thanks for that definition, man. Information, ideas, or rumors deliberately spread widely to help or harm a person. I feel like my basic version of a definition still stands. I'm using that from kind of an IO perspective. Because again, it can help or harm. Really, it has a desired effect. Which is one of those two things. Okay, let's jump into a few more items of note. I just wanted to check in with you guys in the chat there for a minute. The next thing to talk about is our warship. Now, I do have a graphic for this one. And it's coming up for you guys right now. Moskva. Now, there are a couple key things about Moskva, and I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Foremost, people have been calling it a battleship. It's not. It's a cruiser. Warship is probably a little bit more accurate. I'm not a Navy guy. I told you guys a story one time about me calling a ship a boat. But just to help. My daughter's screaming at me for some reason. Now, the way Ukraine claims that they hit the Moskva with 2 Neptune missiles, right? The Neptune is a Ukrainian-designed anti-ship missile that they actually used the design of a former Soviet anti-ship missile. It's like the S-35, S-34, something along those lines. Here's the deal with the Neptunes, though. The Neptune, they reportedly only had one launcher and a handful of missiles that somehow they managed to keep safe from all of those from Russian aggression, from Russia trying to deny their use, and they ended up hitting a bullseye, if you will. I wanted to use this specific graphic, and this one is from the Twitter user @CovertShores. If you'd like to follow more about what's going on in globally in navies and where submarines are going, really great naval resource @CovertShores on Twitter. The reason I wanted to use this graphic, though, is this ship is reportedly the one that that the Snake Island 19, it's not 13, 19, told to go f itself. This graphic helps support that argument, right? It shows the general locations of where this ship was identified. This is Snake Island out here, and it has spent a lot of time in and around Snake Island. Hi, Sutton gets cred for the graphic. Yep, like I mentioned, @CovertShores. @CovertShores. It isn't a battleship or a cruiser, it's a reef. I'll give you guys a link to the Twitter. I'll give you guys a link to the Twitter. It's a great graphic. I love the graphic. So here is the credit that goes to that graphic. Was promoted to submarine. Karma. Boat's a coral reef now. It is a heavily armed cruiser, which is a big deal. You're absolutely right, it is. You're absolutely right. It has a lot of anti-air capabilities. It has anti-submarine capabilities. It has, if I'm not mistaken, sea to land type capabilities. What happened? So Ukraine reportedly fired 2 Neptune anti-ship missiles. So again, the Neptune is Ukrainian developed based on a Soviet anti-ship missile design. They didn't have a lot of them. And one of the first test firings of the Neptune took place in like 2019. So it's actually relatively recent munition. Relatively recent. I heard it didn't sink. Russia towed it back. No. Russia has confirmed that it sank. Russia has confirmed that it sank. It sank. It's in the ocean. It's like it's under the water. It's a submarine now. Like everybody's saying, it's what it is. Just checking in with the chat here. It sank while being towed. Correct. According to Russia. Yeah. A party of 164 people watching you. Greetings from Germany to our brothers and sisters from the U.S. Unterhaltentreiber. Did I get it right that time? I think I nailed it. Probably not, but I'm going to stick with it. Thanks for being here. If Ukraine actually sunk it, what do you think the retaliation might be? Well, it's war. You know, they've been destroying each other's stuff for a while. Now, Putin tends to be a vindictive kind of guy, and I'm not going to speculate on that because I don't think that I have the expertise to. Does that make sense? A lot of people just throw something out from a fear-mongering perspective or say, well, that means they're going to use nukes now. I don't know. I don't have that answer for you. No, Benny. No, it did not. All right, a couple more things. And for this, I want to cover using the campaign map from the Institute for the Study of War. You guys know how much of a fan I am of theirs. And we're going to focus on the overall map. We're going to focus on the Mariupol map as well. All right, let's jump into the overall map. Not a lot of difference in the overall map here. I'm going to move over here to the left side. Not a lot of difference in the overall map relative to what we talked about on Tuesday. The priority is still Eastern Ukraine now that we have that mass exodus of Russians coming out of the north and northeast. There have been Twitter reports of Russian troops that were previously stationed in Belarus moving towards the Russian border, presumably to transition that combat power into the east. Kharkiv, still a hotbed of activity, and there's still a likely intent of Russia's to fix these eastern Ukrainian troops in place. All of your green circles are your hotbed zones, right? Donetsk, Luhansk, kind of the catalyst areas to the war, including Crimea. Somebody was asking about Mariupol, which we'll pull up here. This is essentially an assessed map of, the control of Mariupol. There are really 2 pockets of Ukrainian resistance left in Mariupol. Here in the north and here in the south. Now, here in the southeast, this is essentially going to be where Azov was, near the Azovstal metallurgical combine. That's kind of their home base, if you will. You can see how contested that area is. There's another metallurgical plant up here that was supposedly taken on the 12th by Russian forces, which effectively ended up splitting these remaining pockets. Now, there was a report, like this call-out box is saying, that Ukrainian forces, or at least to some degree, had slipped away from Russians. Obviously, we can't validate that. I think they will hit hard in East Belarus. That'd be tough. I mean, Eastern Belarus is here. They've already tried that once, right? You know, this is Chernihiv, and they kind of got their hang down smacked when they did that last time. They made it basically to just around the outsides of Chernihiv. Really the only couple major metropolitan areas that they've taken is Kherson, and as it's about to happen, Mariupol. Right? They tried taking Chernihiv. They tried taking Sumy. They tried taking Kharkiv. They were unsuccessful across the board. Unsuccessful across the board. How long do you think this war will last? That depends. That depends. It's shaping up to be a situation wherein this becomes, you know, this kind of eastern side of the river becomes almost a 38th parallel type situation. You know what I mean? I think we continue to see combat power shifting, those troops that are up here continuing to move down and around to provide support, pressing down from the north to essentially encircle these Ukrainian troops that are holding the forward line here in Donetsk and Luhansk. It's all of this is ultimately to drive Putin being able to firmly request and be successful in requesting Luhansk, Donetsk, and Crimea. Right? If he is able to defeat all of these Ukrainian troops that are really just keeping this from happening, that are keeping more ground from being obtained or taken by Russia in the east here, if these troops near Izium are able to connect and fix these eastern Ukrainian forces in place, there are a lot of units here. There are a lot of units here for Ukraine. I'm just reading through the chat here. I like to check in with you guys. The whole purpose of this stream is a discussion, right? You know, I'm not an expert. I'm vested in what you guys think, right? That's the design behind this. Blotsky, thank you for the $5. Remember, kids, it's not the size of the army you have, it's how you use it. Thanks for the 505, man. Put my hat back on. My hair's getting a little too crazy. Azov are brutal. Azov does have a history of being pretty brutal. You know, probably the most controversial unit in the entirety of Ukraine. There's video on board a British carrier fleet when Russian fleet fired warning shots before. Yep, there is. Somebody was asking earlier about Starstreak. Let me show you guys how you can check out. If we don't cover something here, let me show you guys how you can go and check all of this footage. Our search function actually works really well. It works really well. I'm going to search for Starstreak live here for you guys. And it's going to give me all of our Starstreak videos. Here we go. There it is. Fast as can be. So we've got two videos there of the Starstreak. This one was from a few weeks ago, back at the very beginning of April. And this was confirmed to have been a Starstreak that took down this Russian chopper. Warship is sunk now. Yep, you're absolutely right, Gabe. We were talking about that just a little bit ago. What's up, Ash? How are you, man? Points lost for a backwards hat. It's okay. It's okay. When I wear it front ways, it messes with, like, you can't see my face, and I love wearing my hats. So I wear it backwards because it's comfy, and I like it. Okay, let me just double check my notes. Again, guys, Thursday nights typically only go for about an hour or so. I just want to check my notes and make sure we've kind of covered everything that I wanted to. We talked about Russian forces taking ground in Mariupol. I had notes about unsuccessful local attacks in eastern Ukraine. That's something we can cover really quick, right? Something that has been persistent, and we're gonna use live UA map for this. Something that has been persistent, not unlike the defense of Kyiv in the north. You know, when Russia took Chernobyl and tried pressing down right into Kyiv from up in the north, is this forward line has been extremely persistent for the entirety of this invasion. And I mean the entirety of it. It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. It might change by a mile or two here and there. It's ebbing and flowing. But Russians aren't taking the kind of ground from Luhansk and Donetsk to the west that they are between Crimea and Mariupol. Or even up here in the north when they bypassed Kharkiv. So Ukraine's defense on this forward line, this is the tip of the spear for Ukraine right now. Right? And Russia continues to be unsuccessful trying to take more ground here. Haven't seen a new Bayraktar video in a bit. We watched one a little bit earlier, Depraved. Oh, thanks for that AR-15 guy. Appreciate it, man. Any word on how U.S. Western volunteers have been faring in the fight? We do know that in the defense of Kyiv, there was at least one volunteer unit that was used to push back as Russia began their withdrawal. This is prior to them officially pulling back. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter who is who's an American volunteer. I'm drawing a blank on what his Twitter tag is, though. Cameron, thanks for hitting that support button, man. Thanks for that, buddy. Welcome to the Funkers, man. All right, that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. Again, Thursdays are short. Tuesdays we go for a little bit longer because we're typically reviewing all the footage from over the weekend. We also do the top 5 every Tuesday. My night is not done, though. My daughter just charged at me like a wild person, and I thought she was going to come over here. You stay over there. No. Crazy little kid. My night's not done. If you guys want to follow along with me on the live tonight, I'll drop a link from my channel down in there. I'm going to kick back, separate from the world a little bit, play some games with some good people, and try to raise a little bit of money for veteran charity. So come on by. We hope to see you there, and if we don't, we'll see you next Tuesday. I'm out of here.